Alright guys, let's talk about some specialty cleans. There are some things that will not clean with either water pressure or soft wash. They will still be dirty no matter how much you use these two things. What are these specialty cleans? Let's get into it. So first off, before we get quite into specialty, I want you to know that you can clean fabrics. So when you're cleaning fabrics, watch out for a few colors: black, red, kind of dark blue. These colors will not withstand chlorine that well. So in any event, you're always going to water it down first. All of this gets fully drenched. Then you use a very mild chlorine, and then you rinse it with the chlorine. You let that sit for just a minute or two, and then you use some pressure and you'll end up with that. So that's how you can do upholstery, and I would test a small area before you do a large area. You don't want to wash out the colors, but it can definitely be done. A lot of colors, like mild, bright colors called pastel, any of those, usually you can do. I would say more often than not, you can clean upholstery and things like that. I wouldn't clean anything indoors ever, but anything outside that's kind of designed for the outside, a lot of times you can quote for it and show before and after picture like this, so you can win a bid on that. But you should be aware of it. You can clean things like that. Okay? So next we're going to cover, if you're doing a driveway and you have oil stains, it's the first thing that you handle. You put down, like I told you, a commercial degreaser. There's all different kinds. The one I use is not available everywhere. You just have to do a search for it, and you want a commercial grade degreaser. You put it down with a pump sprayer, and unfortunately the shadows you can't see too well in this picture, but oil stains, they will come out. This is a little bit of like a fire and oil stains. I didn't get the exact spot there, but that's that same driveway, and you get that out with a degreaser. Okay? You should know that when it comes to rust, we're going to get into rust cleaning. Not all things that look like they're rusted are rusted. So this particular wall right here, that is organics. That's actually an algae. It's actually called rust algae, or red tide algae. There's a few different kinds. They're all red, and they all wash out with chlorine. You don't need any special handling. They'll look like this if you just use chlorine and you let it sit longer. The red is a little bit more resilient. That type of algae is a little bit more resilient, so you let it sit, and there you go. Is that rust on the bottom of that fence? Nope. That is the same type of algae, and chlorine will do it. Okay? But how do you handle rust? So rust has a slightly different tinge. That's like a type of color. You can tell the difference between the two. You remove it with hydrofluoric acid. So hydrofluoric acid is a commercial grade rust remover. It's not sold in stores. Why? Because it's dangerous. I'm just going to show you a little bit. I don't mean to scare you off. If you can read that right there. It says fatal if inhaled. So it's not quite true. I mean, I kind of know what it smells like. I always wear a gas mask. Whenever you use this stuff, it's kind of this pink stuff. You wear full body protection. You have a full raincoat, boots. There is no skin showing of any kind whatsoever. Your whole face is covered. And then you can use hydrofluoric. You have goggles on. This is another warning label. I just want you to be aware that you have to know that this is not safe. That's why it's not available to the public, right? So you avoid, obviously, contact with eyes, skin, and clothing. If you do get some on you, it's never happened to me, but what you do is you rinse it out with water immediately, okay? But you can do some wonderful things with it. So this is a driveway where I just used only a pump sprayer. Just a pump sprayer was enough to get this done. And, you don't really need a lot of it. We're going to get into how it looks cleaning it. But if you're on a job and you see something like this, you can remove it. Again, pressure won't do anything for this. Chlorine won't do anything for this. So you use hydrofluoric and it looks like that. Same with bricks or anything exterior that has a lot of rust on it. Should look like that when you're done. Something to note is it does not work well with glass. So we were very, very careful on this job and we bid it carefully. But you can get the rust out, and usually rust comes from well water. If someone is using well water to irrigate their bushes and such, then rust will occur and you can get it out and you can make it look perfect. You do not touch glass with it. Alright, so let me show you how to use it. So basically, first off, you water everything down. So here's my guy. He's going to water all of the plants. Obviously, he's not going to be using it at all because he doesn't have his head covered. But you water everything down, and then you move in. And you use a pump sprayer. So this is just a pump sprayer. Just going to jump in a little bit. And you're going to see, how it works. The paint remains, the rust goes. You can kind of see there. Everything is starting to look beautiful, really. And then when you're done, you rinse it with water as well. Here's another example. So in this case, this area, there's nothing really to protect. And this is me pumping the pump sprayer. That's why it's called a pump sprayer. It uses the pressure of the air. So you just pump it up and you spray it on. And it just takes a few seconds and the rust will dissolve. So you see all that rust right there? It's just going to come right out. And then when you're done, you rinse. See how well that works? It's because we took all the precautions, we charged accordingly, and we did a great job. Here's an example of if it's not that bad, but there's still rust. This is me pumping this pump sprayer. Takes a little bit of work. You go through and you spray it, and you'll see the rust is just going to disappear after a few seconds. And then you just rinse it. And that's how you remove rust. Rinsing after is very important. You don't want to let that sit. And you can rinse with the pressure washer off. The water is still going to flow through. You still have your X-Jet, and you just kind of rinse very mild because you're not using pressure. Pressure is not going to work on rust. You don't need pressure. You just need the right chemical. And that's how it works. It's pretty simple. Very powerful, great part of your business. Is a tool that you can use. You just have to use it responsibly, kind of like chlorine, kind of like pressure. Use it responsibly, and you can get awesome work done. All right, let's move on.